LSL Stories. The Mysterious Footprints. Jim's morning routine. Jim wakes up every morning at 7 a.m. He likes to follow the same routine. He gets out of bed, washes his face, and takes a quick shower. After that, he makes a cup of coffee and sits at the kitchen table. He enjoys the quiet before he leaves for work at 8:15. But lately, strange things have been happening in his home. Strange footprints appear. One morning, Jim wakes up and sees something unusual. There are wet footprints on the floor from the bathroom to the kitchen. Jim feels confused. He lives alone, so how could there be wet footprints? Maybe I made the footprints, Jim thinks. Maybe I went to the bathroom last night and forgot. He cleans up the floor and tries not to think about it. But the next morning, the footprints are back. This time, they look fresh, like someone just walked there. Jim's plan to catch the mystery. Jim feels scared now. I must find out what is happening, he says to himself. That night, before he goes to bed, Jim puts some flour on the kitchen floor. He thinks, if someone walks here, they will leave footprints in the flour. He also sets up his phone to record the kitchen. He wants to catch the person or thing that is making the footprints. Jim feels nervous, but he goes to bed and tries to sleep. The strange video footage. The next morning, Jim wakes up and rushes to check the kitchen. The flour is all over the floor, but there are no footprints. His coffee cup is on the table, and it is half full. Jim feels his heart beat faster. He checks the video on his phone. He watches himself setting up the camera, turning off the lights, and going to bed. Everything looks normal. But at 7:30 a.m., the lights flicker for a moment. Then he sees a shadow, a dark, human-like shape pass by the camera. The light flickers again, and the shadow is gone. Jim stays awake to solve the mystery. Jim feels cold and afraid. Is there someone in my house? He wonders. He decides to stay awake the next night to see what happens. He sits in his living room with all the lights off and waits. It is very quiet, and time passes slowly. At 7:30 a.m., Jim hears a soft sound, like footsteps coming from the bathroom. He jumps up and turns on the light, running to the kitchen. But there is nobody there, just the sound of water dripping, and his coffee cup, half full with steam rising from it. The wet footprints return. "Who is there?" Jim shouts. But there is no answer, only the sound of water dripping. Jim feels a cold wind pass by him, and suddenly the lights go out. He quickly turns on his phone's flashlight. He sees the wet footprints again, right in front of him, appearing on the floor one by one. The mysterious visitor. The footprints lead to the front door and then stop. Jim opens the door and looks outside. The street is empty. Nobody is there. He goes back inside, looking around his home. Everything is quiet, but he feels like someone is watching him. Jim knows he is not alone. Now, every morning at 7:30 a.m., the wet footprints appear and his coffee cup is always half full. Jim doesn't know who or what is in his house, but he knows it is something he cannot see. And every day, he waits for the mysterious visitor to return,